All right, Marit, you can stop sharing your screen. That's all right. I know you've just put it up, but that's fine. So we can get started. First of all, I want to say a great welcome to everyone for being here tonight to the finals of the Kick Challenge. We've had 13 teams in the running and now 16 teams remain. They are fighting for the Kick Impact Award, the Kick Student Award, and the Kick Audience Award, which people who are looking at the live stream will have a hand in later on after all the pitches are done and the jury is deliberating. So just a quick FYI for people watching at home. The teams will have 6 to 8 minutes to pitch tonight. We will have a brief Q&A of about 7 to 8 minutes as well. And of course, we have some very esteemed jury members here today. So I'm going to look at my cheat sheet. So we have François Chambert, who is the CEO from Melexis, Raf Mons, who is the head of private equity at BNP Paribas Fortis, Paul van Dun, who is the general director at the Group of Research and Development, the Research and Development Department of the KU Leuven. We have Hendrik Winkelmans, who is the founding partner of the Freshman Fund, and Isabel Cardinal had to sadly cancel due to some family matters at home. We wish her and her family very well, of course. Of course, we also have to thank our partners. So Paul van Dun and Raf Mons are here in name of the Gemma Frisius Fund, which is a joint venture between KU Leuven, BNP Paribas, and KBC. They offer seed capital to young startups, much like the initiatives we see here tonight. And they are sponsoring the prizes. So a big thank you to them for that as well. Then we also obviously have Academics for Development. They have given some great workshops. They have helped us with the internal juries, the Industrial Research Fund, and we have our esteemed members of the spin-off group at KU Leuven who were so nice to be coaches for a lot of the teams, who have helped, who have given great feedback in the internal jury round. So a big round of applause for them as well, and a big thank you to them as well. Now, after we have done the 6 teams, we are going to move into a breakout room. So I have made a judges lounge. You will not be able to view this from home, but during that time, anyone watching this, including the people who are here, can vote for the favorites, so that there's one team who can take home the Kick Audience Award tonight. But this will become clear because we will put up a little sign with the link and the necessary information, so you know how you can vote. So now that's more than enough about me. Let's go to the teams. Let's go for the first team, which is Altimpro. So I will now give the floor and the word to you. You can start sharing your presentation. Do try to stay within time, because when your time is up, I will sadly have to intervene as well.
Gael, I seem to not be able to share my screen. Host disabled participant screen sharing is a message I get it.
Jeroen, was that you?
Yes, that was me for Altimpro.
Yes, then I'm going to make you co-host. So I would ask all teams to kind of send me in a personal message the name of the people who are going to be presenting, and I'll make sure you can present. And then I can only wish you good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, good evening. We at Altimpro, we are concerned. I'm sorry, the slides are not. Our current meat producing industry is putting a great strain on our environment, with this sector being responsible for almost 15% of global greenhouse gas emissions and 30% of the global land surface use. Now, if we continue in this way and also take into account the ever-growing world population, we are headed for disaster. It will mean more deforestation, more climate change, more soil and water pollution, and so on. It's therefore no question that we need to drastically reduce our meat consumption. Greenpeace proposed a reduction of over 70% by 2030 in the EU and an even greater reduction by 2050. And this is something that is also stimulated by government. We see this in the newest Flemish protein strategy, the new food triangle, and this also fits with the UN's Sustainable Development Goals of responsible consumption and production and climate action. But if we want to reduce our meat consumption, we do need meat alternatives. And when we look at the currently available meat alternatives, we see most of those are vegetarian or vegan, but the products that are currently available also often still lack in appearance and in flavor and have a rather limited nutritional quality compared to the meat products they are replacing. And we at Altimpro think that insect-based alternatives may be a better solution as they are nutritionally more comparable to meat. However, the products that are currently on the market have a relatively low insect content, a low sensorial quality. And that's why we at Altimpro have made it our mission to create and produce high quality insect-based meat alternatives. And we're very happy to present tonight our very first Altimpro product, which is our Altimpro mince, a mealworm-based mince with a high insect content of over 80%, which is ready to use and contains a lot of high quality proteins. It's a product that bears a high resemblance with fried minced meat in both appearance and in taste. So here we have a beef mince, and if we put our Altimpro mince next to it, we see that there's almost no difference. And I can tell you that they taste quite similar as well. And in addition, our product is also very versatile, very easy to use for consumers. They can just go out and buy it, take it home, and then use it as an ingredient in many different recipes, such as casseroles, pasta sauces, and so on. What sets our product apart is that it's first of all very appealing, and it's, as I can tell you, very tasty. In contrast to the other currently available insect-based products, it has a high insect content of over 80%, and we already have a patent on the production process and the product itself. And when we look at our current competitors, we see a small group of producers of insect-based products and a larger group of vegetarian and vegan products. But as I said before, we at Altimpro believe in our unique product, which sets itself apart from the other currently available meat alternatives.
Yes, so, and if we wanted to look at how we will place ourselves in the market, we see ourselves as a business-to-business company, where we at Altimpro take the mealworms from the insect breeders, transform them in our Altimpro mince, which we can then sell to retail, who can then sell it to the consumers. However, this production is only one part of our company. At the same time, we also think it's equally important to do R&D because there are a lot of different edible insects, and we believe they can make also novel high-quality products, which can either go into our own production, or if they are too different, for example, more snack-oriented, we can look at licensing towards another food company. Now, if we have a look at phase one funding, we also see a difference here where production, we will look at private funding, for example, a venture capital, and R&D, we will aim for public funding, for example, Innovation Mandate or via ONO, because we are a young spin-off. Now, our target group in phase one will be the flexitarians and eco-realists, which already are replacing some part of their meat consumption. In phase two, we hope to expand to young adults because we know they have a higher consumer acceptance. And in phase three, we want to evolve towards the more general consumer. Now, to get to these target groups, we are looking at a hybrid marketing strategy, where on one hand, we collaborate with retail and use their large outreach to get to our consumers, for example, via placement in stores. But at the same time, we also work on our own product visibility via website, social media, or advertisement. Then we think of promotion on events and festivals, for example, food trucks, or at collaborations with restaurants and chefs. And then, of course, Alma can come in mind as a key player there. Now, who are we? Currently, we have a team of 3, where I would look at the more general and the financial management. Dries van der Weijer will look at operational management, and Jana, who you've just heard, will be, based on her PhD knowledge, our R&D manager. Of course, we need external partners as well for marketing, sales, and communication, and our funding partners. And then on the short term, we would look at to recruit an operator who will do the daily production as well of the Altimpro mince. Now, if we dive in a bit more detail, how do we want to get to the market? On a first step will be in a phase 1 to set up our small scale production and find a contract with retail. And based on previous talks with Colruyt, we think BioPlanet is very feasible. Then once we obtain R&D funding, we will also start R&D to get new products developed. We consider our phase 1A a success if we can sell our product in 10 BioPlanet stores. At what phase we want to upscale our production to scale up our number of selling points. And phase 1B would be reached if we get into double the amount of stores selling our product, which means we would go to phase 2, where we need new capital to set up our second production line for our newly developed product. During that phase, we also continue, of course, our R&D efforts to get new products to the market. And with this phase, we hope to reach all bioplanets, which would then mean a larger capital injection for phase 3 to set up our large-scale production facility and expand to the broad retail, to thus hopefully reach our final goal, which would be to get every Belgian customer to consume our products. Now, what will our product cost in retail, you might wonder? We expect a price of €3.99 per 200 grams. This is based on data from firmfocus.biz, where you see all data for food sector, and we've tweaked these numbers a bit, but I will not go into much detail. And this puts us in the same price category as A-label vegetarian alternatives, while we also have a more beneficial product. Now, I hope with this presentation that we really have showed you that we want to change the world, and we hope you can help us by supporting the takeoff of our first production plant. We are looking for €400,000 investment to get this production plant up and running. And in return, we see a return on investment after 7 years, and you can play a role in making our food system future-proof. Thanks. Are there any questions?
Thank you, and very well within time as well. Nice pitch. Thank you very much, Altimpro team, for giving this one. So you can stop sharing your screen. If there are any additional PowerPoint slides that you would need to explain some questions in detail, you can always set up your screen again. So I would like to take a look at the judges. So the judges, I'm not going to ask everyone a question, since we are kind of bundled for time. I do have managed to make the introduction a bit smaller, so we do have a little bit more time of a buffer. But so you can just put up your hand in the reactions part. I see Raf and Paul have done that already. Raf, you may ask the first question.
Yeah, good evening, team Altimpro. I had a question with respect to your production capacity. So you aim to start with the scale-up plant. What would be the maximum volume or maximum kilograms you can produce on a weekly or daily basis?
Well, I will answer this question. We are in contact with the producer of our insects, of course, which is a key partner there, and based on their production capacity, they can deliver us about 1,000 kilograms of insects per week, which means we have, based on our 80% insect volume, we can produce then 1,000 and a little bit of insect mince per week. But this also depends, of course, on the different production line or lines in the future we can set up. So in our first goal, we aim for, I believe, 400 kilograms per week, if I'm correct, but we will scale it up later, of course.
All right.
A second question from my side is, you're definitely not the first company aiming to address this market. And I'm referring to Ben's bugs. You probably will know. What will you do to be different?
The first products with insects included were the first products, which means that they still did not have much of research and development behind their products. They wanted to put products on the market and sell it. People consumed it once, but most products were of low quality. They had low insect contents. There was not a lot to find on the market anymore after a few months or years. And now with the changing, now it's a little bit changing towards more insect-oriented legislation and consumer acceptance. And we believe that we can jump again into this market with a product with a better quality and a better, or at least a higher content of insects.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Raf. Let me go to Paul van Den.
Well, thanks, team. A question on the commercial outroll. You indicated that you want to sell your products via supermarkets, BioPlanet in the first place. Now, being a young starting company faced with a large supermarket chain, the negotiation power will not necessarily be on your side. The negotiation power will be primarily on the side of the supermarket. So a couple of questions in this regard. first of all, what are the arguments that you're using towards BioPlanet in order to convince them to put your stuff on the shelf rather than competing products? Secondly, have you compared the margin that the supermarket can generate on your product compared to competing insect products, which is a very important element for the supermarket? And last question, in the same against the same background, did I understand it correctly that your commercial rollout will be focused only for the next 7 years on BioPlanet?
I think maybe I can answer the first phase already, because we are indeed aiming at bioplanets, and in the past we have already had our share of connections or consultancy with Colruyt Group, and they were already actually interested in our product, but in the previous phase we did not aim to produce it ourselves, and we want to share our recipe and our production with them, but they actually wanted to have it produced by us or by someone to put it in their markets, and therefore we believe that BioPlanet, which is part of the Colruyt Group, will be a good starting point, also because they had insect products in the past, not anymore, or not in a large scale anymore, so we believe they will be interested still. They might be indeed be the key negotiator part of that, but we believe we have a strong product for that. And I hope the second and the third phase will be more of Jeroen's interest there.
Yeah, indeed. So I think the selling point that we have is that that meat consumption needs to reduce, and this product too has the increased quality and amount of insects that could make it achievable. And indeed, in our phase 1, if we are looking at, we are now mainly focused at bioplanets, given our production scale, but of course, if the market hits off and additional capital injections could be possible, then there are enough insect producers available to upscale and maybe also go to a broader retail market. But at the moment, we are focused on one retail partner, indeed.
All right, thank you. Françoise Jombert?
Yes, thank you, and congratulations to the team. Very complete presentation, well done and in time. There's one thing maybe that I miss, because being a flexitarian myself, I just ate a vegetarian today. I have never been very much attracted to eating insect-based food. So, and I remember that not too long ago, there was an idea, I'm not sure which retailer it was, but it wasn't a success as such. So how do you think you can be successful where others have failed? And how do you overcome the reluctance of people to eat insects? In the West, of course, because in Asia, it's a bit different.
Indeed, and it's a very important detail that you stress the West. There are quite some studies towards the consumer attitudes these days, and we believe that now it is the point to start introducing insects again, because I think the success in the past was because insects were sometimes even recognizable in products, and we believe also based on those studies that incorporating insects invisibly is more a phase to reach and to make sure that consumers use those products. And also, of course, the taste of the products is very important there, because the previous products were still not very good, we believe, and we believe this product can be better and is better, and we hope that there the supermarkets and the consumer believe in our product, and therefore, based on the studies that have been done and the flexitarians and the young adults, which we focus at on the first phases, are more able to or more pleased to do or to consume this product or these products.
Have you done any research on this as such? What do
you
you think yourself to believe that?
You believe that we did taste tests with consumers?
I don't know. What did you do?
Well, in the past, we did a few. We did a few of those tests indeed on smaller scale, but now we are busy in developing or enlarging those different tests on even, for example, in Portugal and Denmark, in a certain product which this product is involved in, to make sure that the Western consumer you talk about, but more the traditional Southern Europe consumer and the more Northern consumer, that we believe that there might be a difference, but we will test our products there and see how the consumer acceptance is there based on what the outcome will be. So we are doing that at the moment. The products or the samples are effectively sent a few weeks ago, so we hope to have results quite soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We also, and I'm going to look at the live stream link for a second, we actually also have a question from the audience. So Magic Flow is asking, what is the CO2 emission for this product compared to meat or vegan options?
I must say we do not have really have a number for that. We believe that it can be measured somehow if we put together a life cycle assessment for our product based on CO2, but we still have to calculate that if that is a necessary requirement to make sure that our consumers or the buyers of our products wish to hear about that. Maybe my colleagues know more about it, but I'm not sure if we have a number on that yet.
No, there are assessments for other insect species where you see that insects do better than meat, for example, but towards plants, I think not a full assessment has not been done. So I concur with my colleague that this is something that has to be researched still, but it's a good question.
Thank you. And then we have Hendrik Winkelmans, who also wants to ask a question. Just a quick question, Hendrik, when you put the reactions, what you were doing was an applause. I do think the team deserves an applause, not that standing. But so you can raise your hand, and that way you come up to the forward of the conversation. And I'm sure that I see that you want to ask a question. Yeah. But go ahead.
No, but I just wanted to applaud. I don't have a question, actually. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding. No, guys, great work. I mean, nice, good presentation. Cool. Consumer acceptance will be key. So if you do those tests and stuff, I would really do it like blind. Don't tell people it's insects and compare to other veggie alternatives, that kind of stuff. And hire a marketeer when you're going to do this. But one key question: what is as an investor, what is the unfair advantage here? Why you and not somebody else? And you mentioned something about patents. Is that really something that could set you apart from competition, or what type of patent is it that you have?
We have a Belgian patent that is granted, and we have a European patent pending at this moment, which means that in the long term, we want with those patents to make sure that a certain amount of the investment for the research comes back to us, which means that we can further invest in the research and development part of our Altimpro project, that we want to renew our products, make them better, and maybe in the future even produce.
That I understand, but what does the patent do for the consumer? What does it do to the product that makes it exceptional?
I think I might want to take this. I don't think for the consumer that the patent is that important. It's to protect ourselves. Should the market again with the novel food legislation evolving as this, to protect ourselves. I think for the consumer it is that this product is as comparable to a minced product, that the consumer knows how to incorporate it in his diet. While other vegetarian alternatives, you might need to change your diet pattern, really make new foods or meals as such. While this, okay, I can make a spaghetti sauce with insect-based alternative. It's better as a spaghetti sauce, but it's still a spaghetti sauce, which makes it more easy to be a flexitarian, in my opinion. So I think that's the advantage that we have towards other products which were low in insects, but maybe that's for the consumer less known. But compared with, I think it's the versatility and the high protein insect content that really what sets it apart.
Okay, but it's a nice hook, because a lot of vegetarians start replacing like bacon in salads and stuff, and not the steak, right? So it's a very good approach. Like it. Cool, well done. But be more ambitious. Like, I mean, 700,000 euro capital in 10 years. Oh, very Belgian.
All right, thank you, Hendrik, and thank you for the feedback. I'm sure that the team will take that into account as well. So if there are no more questions, I think we can move on to the second team, which is actually a one-person team, Elsa Guzman. So you can start sharing your presentation and just immediately start.
All right, let's see. Okay, so first of all, hi, thank you for this opportunity to pitch my nonprofit project, Elsa Guzman. So to start this pitch, I want to take you to the chemistry department of 2018. So this building has now been replaced by a brand new building and was hence scheduled for demolition in 2018. But before they actually tear it down, I decided to be curious and take a look inside what I could find. So inside, I came across these old, outdated lab stands, which were just left there as trash. They had some beautiful patina on them. I really loved them. So I really wanted to do something new with them. So I wanted to give them a new life, a new purpose. So I thought about it long and hard, and I came up with the idea to make table lamps out of these lab stands. So also something very important about this slide that you see here is the woman that is standing next to me. She's my mom, and she made sure that I had every opportunity in life. Together with my dad, she made sure that I had every opportunity, every chance. I had a very good childhood. And I realized that not every child has the same opportunities as I do, and that really should change it. Every child deserves a great childhood. So that's how I came across the Pelicano Foundation. The Pelicano Foundation makes sure that every child has an easy childhood by giving them decent education, good food, healthy living conditions, and good pastimes. So I want to see if I can do something back with these lamps to really make a difference for this foundation. So I thought, like a lot of people, more and more people are very conscious about what product that they buy. Is the product, is it fair trade? Where does it come from? What is the social impact of this product? And I want to give them a product that is upcycled, but what is made by upcycling old lab equipment into these one-of-a-kind lights, which also then gives back to society. For this, I came up with 3 basic designs to start with, which are depicted here. And of course, to make this, I need a team as well. For now, the team is just me. I'm very good at innovation, design, and product development, which is all done now. But I also need some help with like the other side of business, like marketing, social media, web design. So I need some help there as well. But first of all, I need to find this outdated lab equipment. I found a few in the old building, but for that, I came back to the new chemistry department, since a lot of labs still have this old lab equipment, because the funds that they get from governments and other instances, they want to put in research. They don't want to put in modernizing their equipment. So the modernization of this equipment is very slow. So to speed this process up, I donate them new equipment in exchange for the outdated lab equipment. So, and for this process, I'm in contact with both all campuses of KU Leuven and the University of Hasselt. So I have plenty of old lab equipment. So of course, what does it actually cost to make this kind of lamps? For now, for the simple designs, it comes at about 85 euros, while for the more complicated designs, it comes in at about 130 euros, which is quite expensive. Of course, I need to take a margin on this. So I took about a margin of 2.9 to really see what my retail price would be. So I came to prices of 250 euros for the simple designs and 350 euros for the complicated designs. Besides these lamps, I also give the option to make the lamps smart, so you can integrate them with your smart devices in your home. Of course, these are not my only costs. To start up the production of these lamps, I had to invest in some tools. So my startup cost was about 860 euros. And if I really want to sell my lamps, I also need like a website, a web shop. The cost of that would come in at about 30 euros per month. And of course, if I want to sell my lamps, good way to do that is through retailers, and they also need a margin. So I was assuming a margin of about 2 that they would need. And I'm assuming that about 80% of my sales will go through retailers. So if you look at my goals that I set for myself, for the first year, I want to start slow by selling 30 lamps, which will give me a net profit of 935 euros. So of that money, I want to give 15% to charity, so 140 euros. So there's still a lot of room left for giving myself a little wage and to keep the project healthy. In the second year, I want to double the production, which leads to a profit of 600 euros for charity. And in the third year, I want to upscale even to 150 lamps, which is too much for me, for myself to make. So I want to employ also a sheltered workshop to also impact in that way. And in that year, I would estimate to have a profit for charity of about 1,250 euros. Of course, to do this marketing and sales, first of all, I want to reach out to people by using social media, which is very popular these days. And of course, I want to make a nice, beautiful website with a web shop and everything. But for now, I still have a web shop now that I just use Etsy, where you can already find and purchase my lamps. Of course, there will also be retailers. I've already contacted several design stores in Leuven, and I'm also in contact with Flanders DC for further guidance on how to reach other retailers. What does this project then still need to really make a difference? So I first need a really nice professional website that describes the project very nicely. I need someone to help with the marketing and the sales, and I need someone to help me with social media. So what can I really, can you guys contribute to ensure this project is really a difference and really keeps this project off? I need guidance, I need your network, I need your skills to help push this project to the next level. So with this, I want to conclude my presentation, and if there are any questions, I am happy to answer all your questions. All right.
All right, thank you very much, Wannes. Also well within time, thank you. This makes my job a lot easier. So for the people watching at home, I would also quickly like to add that the teams were given the task to pitch in front of a panel of investors. So they could view the external jury panel as a jury of investors, which is why Wannes at the end of its pitch addressed them as being investors, just so you are all clear on that. Then I see the first question, Paul van Dun.
Yes, thanks for this inspiring and enthusiastic presentation. Two questions, actually. The first one is, maybe I missed it, but who is Elsa Guzman?
Elsa Guzman, yeah. Elsa, the part that, she's my mom, Elsa, that's her name. And the name Guzman was actually something nice that I added to it later, because I heard a story about a school in Colombia, which was actually helping children to have access to good education. And the most common surname in Colombia is Guzman, and it just had a nice rings to it, like Elsa Guzman. So that's why it all came together. So that's where Elsa Guzman came from.
That's nice. Why would you limit yourself to old lab material?
I will not actually I don't want to limit me only to lab material per se. I want to expand this as the project grows. But to start, I just thought it was a nice starting point, since I work in the lab, I know the materials, and I just really love the product as well. So that's a good starting point, but I want to expand that, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from jury members? Raf?
Yeah, thanks. Very inspiring presentation. I was wondering if you ever considered to link yourself to social influencers.
Yeah, of course, to really increase my outreach. Yeah, of course, I can try that, but yeah, I'm not like the perfect guy for that. So that's why I'm looking for someone extra on my team to really manage the social things. I'm more of the tech guy, so I need someone to really put it out there for me. So that's why I had these question marks on my slide as well.
Okay, but at least you bring an inspiring story, so maybe you can also convince them a famous social influencer looking to link his or herself with this nice product.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Thank you. I will try.
Right.
Sorry, my computer was frozen for a bit. Any other questions from the jury members? Yes, Hendrik.
I just wanted to confirm what Raf said. Wannes, you have a great, you have energy, you have authenticity. I mean, you don't need a marketeer. Eh? You're all about the right stuff. So, I mean, build a website yourself. It's really easy. I mean, just Google a bit. You're going to be able to do it. Do your own crowdfunding, your Facebook campaigns, and sell the damn thing, and the rest will follow. Really. So no questions. I would just say don't underestimate yourself. I love the name, by the way. I mean, just. There's a story. There's a bite. Nice.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Start selling it yourself, and it might outgrow the numbers on the page, and then you have something to build on.
Yeah, true. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Hendrik, for that. Françoise?
Yeah, no question on my side. I can only agree with my co-jurors. Keep your passion. It's the best investment you can do.
Thank you very much.
All right. If there are no more questions, let me just quickly check the live stream. So no questions. All right. Then Wannes, well done. You can relax and breathe now.
Thank you.
And we can go to the next team. So Agrileshi, you may start sharing your presentation. And you can simply start.
If I would say to you that the current ammonia concentration is damaging the health of mankind, wouldn't you be worried? Like studies show that the current ammonia concentration in the Netherlands shortened the lifetime of an average person. Now, unfortunately, the same happens here in Belgium as well. So it's clear we need to do something, right? As you know that 2/3 of the total ammonia pollution is coming from agriculture, it's obvious something needs to happen there. And it's actually already happening. So the Netherlands, but also at the beginning of this year here in Belgium, the rules are becoming more and more strict according to nitrogen emission of agriculture. Now, due to the high ammonia emission of chicken manure, chicken farmers saw their future plans go up in smoke. Currently, the only thing that matters for these chicken farmers are these strict rules and how to comply with them. But where is this emission coming from? Well, there are two main sources of ammonia emission. One of them is manure, the other is ammonia in the air. Now, how does this ammonia get in the air? Well, when the chickens produce manure in the barn, ammonia will escape out of the manure into the air. Now, currently, one of the only things that chicken farmers can do to reduce the ammonia concentration out of the air is by using air washers. These air washers make use of a sort of sprinklers, so the ammonia will be taken up into the water. But now the ammonia is in the water. So the problem is not solved yet. On the other hand, we have also the chicken manure. This is most of the time transported to manure processing industries or exported. We just move the problem across the border, but it's not solving the problem. So in contrast to these current situations, we want to have a full nitrogen processing of ammonia from air washers and manure. So the manure will be used to its fullest potential. Our project also connects to a lot of sustainable development goals, as you can see here. So we are actually in line with the future expectations of the United Nations. But how are we going to do this? Well, there is only one solution for this. These are algae. Algae used in an innovative way. So the chickens will produce eggs, but will also produce manure. Out of this manure, ammonia will escape into the air. The air will go through air washers where the sprinklers will get the ammonia into the water. This water with the ammonia, but also the manure, is added to algae photobioreactors. These algae photobioreactors are a closed system, and here the algae are pumped around. So the algae will feed themselves with nitrogen and phosphorus from the manure, and this algae biomass can be sold for high-end products such as fish feed.
Looking at our value, this is actually twofold. On the one side, we have our environmental value. Of course, we have this big reduction in nitrogen emissions of these barns, as was our goal. But not only that, we also prevent a lot of transport of this heavy manure. On top of that, we also capture a lot of CO2 because algae require a lot of CO2 to grow. On the other side, we have our economic value. First of all, the farmer will once again be able to place new barns without local backlash due to these emissions. But we also transform this very low value waste stream of manure into a high-end product. Looking at our industries, we have the algae production industry, which is a growing industry, but currently only for high-end products, such as food or animal feed. This is due to the high production cost. We will mainly focus on fish feed because algae are a great source of omega-3. On the other side, we have our main processing industry. here we really shine because manure is currently very low value, especially chicken manure. Depending on where you are in Belgium, chicken farmers sometimes even have to pay to get rid of their manure in a legal way. Looking at our competitors, we have Duplaco and Ficum, which are algae producers in the Netherlands, which use similar bioreactors. So this shows us this is possible. On the other side, we have Vertical, which is a manure processing plant in Antwerp for chicken manure. They actually have all their licenses pulled currently because they committed fraud, because they just got money to get rid of manure and they didn't do it in a legal way. Now, while these are competitors, we did not find any company in Europe combining these two. Because we are currently only actively integrating different components, we will really need strong supplies to one side, our suppliers, but definitely to our markets. And looking at these markets, we first of all have the aquaculture market, where we sell our algae as fish feed. So we will need regular buyers for our algae. And on the other side, we have the farmers, which we will need to convince of the value of this installation. And to facilitate this, we will actually give them an economic incentive. We will actually share a part of our algae revenue stream with them. Now, this installation has a big investment cost. And to make this easier, we will allow the farmer to co-invest in this installation. And based on how much money he brings in, he will get a bigger share of the algae revenue. Now, this reactor is a big investment. And using rough calculations for growth rate, etc., we get a payback time of between 10 and 15 years. But keep in mind, the farmer will probably not even be able to place his barns due to the restrictions. So we think this is viable. Looking at the team, we currently have Peter Janssen-Nails, which is a biochemistry student, which will tackle all the biochemistry things. I myself am a mechanical engineering student, so I will tackle all the mechanical integrations of the pipes and pumps. Then we are currently looking for a bioengineer to be able to comply with all the feed and food laws. And then later on, we will want to add a salesperson to really negotiate these contracts with the aquaculture people, but also with the farmer. Looking on the long term, we only see the trends of nitrogen restrictions becoming stricter and stricter, of course. Later on, we also want to do some vertical integration to have a long-lasting competitive advantage. And we also want to internationalize, especially to the Netherlands, because currently there are 16,000 projects on hold there due to stricter nitrogen laws. Looking at our next stages, first of all, we will want to make a first prototype reactor so that we can finalize our numbers on growth rate. And then once we have these numbers, we want to hit the market, start placing our first installations and start growing this algae revenue. So we are currently looking for any support to create our prototype so that we can finalize our numbers and start selling to the farmers so that the chicken farmers can once again grow, but not at the expense of nature. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Team Agrileshi. Also within time. So thank you for that as well. So let me immediately go to the questions, perhaps, of the jury members. If there are any questions. Yes, Paul van Doen.
Yeah, two questions. Am I right in my understanding that, and thanks for the presentation, am I right in my understanding that that you will continuously need to balance what you can offer as algae products, that actually depends on how many biomass machines, let's put it that way, you have in place. In other words, what you can supply to the fish industry will depend on how productive or how successful your other business is, right?
Yes, that's why we also want to have a first prototype reactor to actually get these conversion rates down over the whole year so that we can get good estimations on what full-sized reactor will produce once it's placed with the farmer. But once this reactor is placed, it will run for many, many years. And so we believe that we will get a stable biomass production there so that we can get our recurring biomass once we have these reactors in place.
Thanks. And the second question that I have, Rick or Pieter Jan, what do you have in place if this model turns out to be successful and I or another company would like to copy what you have? What do you have in place as some kind of a buffer or safety wall against this?
So first of all, we would want to, we get a lot of products from just suppliers, but the integration between these products is something new. So that we will probably have some own components there. But mainly also our ties to the farmers, because once we have this reactor in place there, it isn't like a shovel where you can just buy another brand. Our reactor is there, and so we tie these farmers to us. But then also a lot of these connections made between the barn and the air washer to the actual reactor, which is not done that much right now, or at all that we can find.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Françoise?
Yes, amazing idea, Pieter-Jan and Rick. Great. I unfortunately lost my connection when you were talking about the payback time. Can you explain why? I just heard the result, which is 10 to 15 years. Can you explain again how you calculated that?
So we got a lot of information of academic sources, because this is something that's done a lot of research on the growth of algae because of their huge potential, which is currently not fully used because of the way the production is. So they do a lot of research into this production, and based on that we can get growth rates, etc. And then we can use these growth rates and conversion rates to estimate the amount of algae we produce, which we then set to the price of algae in the fish feed market. And then for the installation, we actually contacted somebody that places these large-scale tubular bioreactors to give us a price estimation, and that's how we got the payback time.
Mm-hmm. And why should the fish farms use your product rather than other algae or other fish food? What's the differentiation you think you can have there?
Currently,
a lot of omega-3, but
yeah, currently a lot of omega-3 in produced fish, so not caught fish but grown fish, is coming from fish oil. But due to fishing limitations set by international laws, this production of fish oil is actually at its maximum currently for already a couple of years. So they are currently looking for other ways to get this omega-3 into their own grown fish, and algae are a source of this. We contacted one fish company which said that they would be willing to buy dry algae biomass to be used in their plant. Once, of course, all the certifications would be in order.
All right.
Maybe one last question. Last time we had some, let's say, waste, animal waste, turn into food for other animals. We got this, I forgot how it's called, when people ate those animals, then afterwards they got this, I forgot the disease, but it was a very...
PSD.
Can somebody help?
Mad cow disease?
Yeah, yeah, it was with
prions.
Yeah. It had like a double name, the disease, but whatever. Here you transform it.
Creutzfeldt-Jakob, Françoise.
Yes, that's what it was. Yes. Thank you, Paul. Here, did you figure out whether it is safe for? Maybe it is safe for the fish, but is it safe for the people that afterwards will eat the fish?
Unfortunately, there aren't any studies on that. But after the the manure is extracted, we will actually have to have a sterilization step so that all malicious organisms would die out. And then we produce these algae on just the manure actually as fertilizer for this algae. Manure is currently also used in fertilizer in a whole other usages, and algae are also used in the fish feed market. But this specific combination is not yet done, so unfortunately we can't give any conclusive answer on that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Françoise. Raf?
Yeah, thanks, Rick and Peter Jan, for this nice presentation addressing a real market problem, an issue. Also, I would call it circular economy in practice. Huh? So I had a question. Do you already have a clue on what will be the conversion rate in your pilot plant from manure to algae? So, and the yield, in fact, you can achieve?
We did do some calculations. I don't know the numbers by heart right now, but I think it was around a quarter of the mass of the manure would be algae. But the problem would not necessarily be that conversion rate, but how quickly we could do this to actually grow these algae on the manure, because there will be plenty of manure, and if we can do this more quickly, then we can do it in a smaller installation, which would reduce the cost. But I don't have the numbers by heart. I don't know if Peter Jan knows them by heart.
But so far it's only based on calculations, so there was no real test.
Yeah, no test that we did ourselves. That's why we also want to do a first prototype. Okay.
Thank you, Raf. Any other questions from the jury? I see Françoise still has her hand raised, but I'm guessing that was from the previous question. So thank you, Team Agrileshi, for that great pitch. And to think that just about, I think it was 6 weeks ago, this was simply an idea that kind of sprung to life for the progress that you guys made. Very, very well done. So we can go
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. We can go to the next project, Internet of Waste. You can start sharing your screen and you can start your presentation.
All right, thank you. So let me begin with a rather bold statement here. Waste management will be one of the key challenges in the 21st century. So here are some numbers backing up this claim. By 2050, 2/3 of the world population will live in urban environments. So the prognosis is that these cities, they will produce an additional 1.4 billion tons of waste material per year. So to put this number into perspective, the current annual waste production is estimated at about 2 billion tons every year. So although the world population will grow with only 1/4 by 2050, the total amount of waste material produced by these individuals will almost double every year. So hence our claim, waste management and smart waste collection will be key challenges in the 21st century. And this is exactly where we would like to step in with our project, the Internet of Waste. So let's first take a look at a smaller problem, the collection of recyclable glass waste in Belgium. The average Belgian household produces approximately 60 kilograms of glass waste every year. And this waste is collected in central glass containers. So garbage trucks then drive around and collect these glass containers according to some fixed schedule. Now, this is not a sustainable solution, mainly for two reasons. First, the glass bins, they can become overfull, causing these unappealing city sites, as you can see on the pictures. And secondly, the garbage trucks sometimes collect empty glass bins, which is, of course, not efficient. So we believe that glass waste collection will be more efficient by using our Internet of Waste solution. So how does it work? Well, first we equip the glass containers with sensors that collect the fill degree of the containers in real time. These sensors are then connected through the Internet of Things, which in this context we conveniently call the Internet of Waste. Secondly, the data will be collected and visualized on an interactive dashboard. And thirdly, and most importantly, the dashboard uses advanced optimization routes to compute optimal garbage truck routes for efficient waste collection. So here's how such an interactive dashboard may look like. On the left, you can see an interactive map that shows the locations of the glass bins with a color scale indicating the fill percentage of the containers. And using this information, a smart algorithm will now compute an optimal garbage truck route, which is automatically sent to the GPS of the garbage truck. So there are several advantages with this new approach. Well, first, we will no longer have overfull glass bins. Secondly, the garbage truck collection will be more efficient, both economically, so in terms of money, but also environmentally in terms of, for example, CO2 emission. And there are also some secondary effects. By controlling the garbage truck routes, we can avoid potential traffic jams, and the information provided by these smart containers, they can give valuable insights for the glass recycling companies. So how do we put the Internet of Waste in the market? Well, we have identified 3 key players that will be interested in our product. So the first key partner are cities. Cities typically operate at a small scale. They control just a few glass bins, and they are interested in what we call the full stack solution, which includes both the sensor network, the interactive dashboard, and the optimal garbage truck routes. And then secondly, the second key partner are waste recycling companies. These companies, they work on a medium scale. They control a few groups of glass bins, and they are interested in the data processing tool chain. And also in an interactive dashboard to as a good way to visualize the data that they collect. And the third key partner are high-tech companies, such as electronics companies that develop sensors and who already often have their own large-scale IoT network rolled out. These companies will be interested in our smart algorithm for route optimization. So let's put this into a business plan. We plan to have the first beta version of the Internet of Waste ready for testing in 1 year from now. We will then collaborate with Mirom. So Mirom is an intermunicipal waste collective in Roeselare. That's a city in West Flanders with about 70,000 inhabitants. And after a first successful integration, we will team up with VersaSense. So VersaSense is a spin-off of the KU Leuven that is an expert in IoT development. So we will work with VersaSense to further improve our algorithm. And our target eventually is to have the Internet of Waste rolled out in about 10 communities after 3 years. After this, we will start making profit, and future objectives are devoted to what we call diversification, which is using our product for other things like illegal dumping sites and leftover textile collection. Now, there are, of course, a few competitors, companies that do the same thing or similar things. We've listed them here. So 2 of these companies, Sensual and Breiterbins, they are startup companies. So Sensual is a Slovakian company. Their focus is on smart waste bins in general, not on optimal route computation. And the second competitor is Breiterbins, which is a company funded by IMEC. They focus on smart containers, such as smart oil tanks or smart shipping containers, using a one-size-fits-all approach. So where we, with the Internet of Waste, then differ from the competition is that we really focus on this optimal and real-time solution for the waste collection problem. So we already have quite some in-house knowledge to fix this problem. There is Bert, who is an expert in machine learning for route optimization. And then there is me, Pieter Jan. My focus is more on optimization under uncertainties. And we will also be actively looking for a collaborator who can further assist us with the technicalities of app development. So we are convinced that the Internet of Waste is really a step into the right direction to tackle the urgent problem of waste management. And we hope that you are convinced of this now too. So we are still looking for a good name. So 2 proposals are shown on the slide here, but any suggestions on this matter is highly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys, for this presentation. I don't really have a preference for the name, so I'm going to leave that to the judges to decide. Any questions from the judges? Paul van Den.
I like Waste Warriors for that matter. Thanks for this presentation. This is a segment, as you've indicated yourself, which is already pretty crowded. There are a lot of companies active in this field, much more than the three that you have highlighted, by the way. To what extent do you believe that, given the fact that you can offer these three components, and you've identified several companies who can offer 2 out of 3 or 1 out of 3, to what extent do you think that being able to offer the 3 components gives you a real additional benefit? In other words, if I have already a contract with a company that offers 2 components and I combine that with software of a third company, will you be able to make a difference?
Yes, I think we will, because the optimality is the main novelty. So there is no company who uses real-time information to compute optimal routes. What they do is they use sometimes real-time information, or they try to optimize the routes, but without real-time information, it's never truly optimal. So there is a lot to gain by using a truly optimal solution. That would be the main advantage of our approach. But we do think that applying to or submitting it for a sensor company or licensing it to a sensor company is a viable route to have a broader reach quickly.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Paul van Den. Raf?
Yeah, thanks. Great pitch. What I was wondering a bit, I missed a bit the link between the mission statement of your project, or the purpose, in fact, the aim of reducing waste, especially in cities, and then you're focusing on glass containers, because as a matter of fact, I think that glass is one of the most efficient waste products that is in recycling. So I think that's 90% of all glass produced is recycled. So why precisely focusing on glass containers?
So that's more of a personal motivation, I think. So the glass recycling indeed is very efficient, but the collection as it is currently not so efficient. So we often have these sites where the environment of a glass container is often the place that you want to leave as quickly as possible. It smells, the floor is sticky, there are some leftover glass bins or leftover glasses next to it. Often there are some youngster people hanging around there. So we think that especially in terms of collection, there is a lot to gain. And also we'd like to start small. So the global waste management problem, of course, is really hard to tackle in itself. But by starting with something which is small, has the appropriate scale, we can gain a lot. Also because glass waste collection is really the appropriate scale for which we know we can develop optimal solutions. So there are some competitors that claim that they have an optimal network of garbage bins rolled over a city like San Francisco, which may have 10,000 or 20,000 bins. There's no way you can do this in an optimal way while taking into account real-time information. So glass bins is really the nice scale to start with.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Raf. Then I think we can go to Françoise.
Yes, thank you. I also love Waste Warriors, by the way. It's good in it sounds better than the other one. Now, could you elaborate a bit on how you will make money? What is your real business model? Is that recurrent income? How do you do that?
The aim is recurrent income, where since it will be very easy to compare for a waste municipality or collector, it will be very easy to compare how much fewer hours they will need to spend to collect the glass. So it's very easy for them to quantify, or at least approximately quantify, their profit. So then we would use this as a recurrent income source. So we would
what you could also do is, would tend to say, well, because the proof is in the pudding, you need to demonstrate that it works. So if it works and it works better, then maybe you can say, yeah, give us the 50-50 of the difference, for example, and you split the difference, or you take 20%, I don't know, so that you can in fact add to your recurrent business when it really works well, and it's an incentive for the waste company, in fact, to say, well, okay, they seem to be convinced that they can do even better than that. Yeah, why don't we give them a chance? Just an idea.
Yeah, a fun idea, I think.
Thank you, Françoise, for that comment. I know that Hendrik also wants to ask a question.
Yeah, brief one, guys. I like the presentation. Nice, well done. Waste Warrior is definitely better. Alliterations always work. The question I have is, if I understand correctly, you are an IoT company with a hardware component in the containers and then with a software as a service component centrally, right?
That's true, but we try to keep the hardware component a bit separate from the overall solution, because our goal is tackling the garbage collection as such, and our main contribution is really the algorithm, so the software side.
Okay, cool. So next question, because I'm in an IoT company right now, and the big strategic choice you always have in small companies is like focus, right? So why not just doing the software and coupling your apparently superior software where your differentiation is to existing chips and IoT devices out there?
Yeah, so that's what we intend to do with this spin-off company VersaSense, which is an IoT company which already has the network, but indeed maybe not the algorithm to do something with the data they collect. The main purpose here is that we originally had the intent to help cities, to help smart cities become smart and improve their waste collection schedule, which would mean that for cities, we would have to offer them the full stack solution, which would include sensors and dashboard and the smart waste route collection. But of course, we could buy these components from a company which already has spent quite some R&D money into developing these sensors.
Okay, that makes sense. So you almost give away with no margin the IoT if you need to, just to give the full solution, and then you make money on the recurring revenue of your software. Okay, makes sense.
All right, thank you, Hendrik. And so I kind of wanted to say that I definitely encourage the judges to give this feedback, because this is the feedback that is really crucial to these teams. So not only asking questions, but also just giving them some more information and more guidance, because some of these teams have only started 6 weeks ago. Some of them have been working on this a little longer. So any and all feedback is always welcome. So definitely a big thank you for that. I think we can then go to the next team, because I'm proud to kind of announce that we are a little bit ahead of schedule, which almost never happens in these kind of things. So thank you for that, everyone. Then I think that the floor is now to Ecoware.
Yes, thank you.
I think that's...
Yeah, we're just going to share a screen now.
Okay, great. Thank you. I do notice that when you guys do not have your microphone on mute, there is kind of a little bit of an echo. So if you change from Varun to you guys, make sure that your microphones are always unmuted or muted when you do talk.
Yes.
All right, take it away, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we are Ecoware. We are a team of 3 students who are here to share with you a problem. Just a second. Nope. Our presentation seems to be stuck.
We're very sorry for the delay, but we're facing some technical issues from our side. Okay. It just wouldn't close. It's stuck there.
Yes.
We can't move back. We don't have control over the present. Okay. Maybe just go like this. Just go like this. Yeah, it's all right. I think we can go ahead with this. Yeah.
Yeah, so we are here to share with you a problem, which is the plastic problem. I know it's a very unpleasant sight to start our presentation with, but this is how the problem is. It's ugly and it's big. To give you an idea, here are some numbers. 710 million tons of plastic is discarded into the ocean. 460 million tons on land, 550 millions in water courses. This is how huge the problem is. What can we do about it? There's too much climate anxiety at the moment, and we live in a age where we have to protest for our climate rights as well. So our idea was a kind of activism that starts with an idea, with an innovation. Our product is very simple. It's making biodegradable edible cutlery using spent grain. Now, spent grain is something which is a byproduct of the brewery industry. And our innovation lies here because by using spent grain, we're taking stress of agricultural activities, because biodegradable edible cutlery still exists, but they're usually made from conventional grains like wheat. So using spent grain is a way where we upcycle the byproduct of another industry, which is used as either fodder or otherwise just discarded. So we worked on it. We got some spent grain on our hand. We got our hands on some spent grain, and we tried to make a product out of it, a first prototype using just kitchen appliances. And this is just an overview of that. We did have fun making it, but yeah. And next to go to the impact with value proposition. So it's safe basically, and it's safe for the people and for the planet as well, because it's biodegradable and it's nutritious, and it's safe to have as a alternative to toxic plastic single-use cutlery. So through this, we're also trying to nudge environmentally responsible behaviors, because it's edible cutlery. Even if you're not eating it, you dispose it, it's still biodegradable and it decomposes. It's also locally produced. Because Leuven has a lot of breweries around, and we're basically aiming the local market for now. So Leuven and Belgium in general does have a lot of breweries, and we're hoping that we can rely on that. Next, the global goals fit in. These are the global goals that fit in. First is responsible consumption production. Then we're aiming at, when we talk about long term, it's aiming at climate action as well. And then we're trying to impact life on land and life on water.
So our main idea is to develop partnership with local breweries. We want to partner with local breweries in and around Leuven and in Belgium, because we feel that with developing partnership with local breweries, we'll be able to cut down our logistical and manufacturing costs, because we'll be able to get our hands on spent grains at very minimal cost, and we can also use their premises for manufacturing. Moreover, Belgium has more than 1,000 beer brands, and it generates more than 60,000 metric tons of spent grain, which is more than enough for generating enough cutlery that we have in our mind. And because there are so many beer brands, our developing partnerships with them also becomes easier. We also wanted to find out how acceptable this product will be in the European market if we were to introduce it. And that's why we carried out a pilot survey with a sample size of 30 people, who included residents in Leuven, and most of them were students. And we reported that 91% of the people are ready to try out edible cutlery. And we know that this product will be super receptive in the market, because we were concerned if people would be okay with eating their cutlery, because it's a common practice back there in the the eastern countries, but not quite here in the West. So let me take you through the 6-year business plan that we actually have. In the first year, we want to focus on our prototype, and we want to develop partnerships with the already existing edible cutlery market, for that matter, because they already have the products and the equipments needed. In the latter part of the first year, we want to focus on manufacturing and development. For manufacturing, we want to either we either want to partnership with other companies, or we want to rent out our own space and our own equipment and manufacture in-house. The year 2 would include targeting student cafeterias and restaurants, starting with Alma and Kimodo, which is University of Antwerp, targeting local events and developing an online presence. Year 3 would be small cafes and hotels in and around Leuven. Year 4 is when we want to expand into other food service channels like fast food companies, because we know that they are more eco-conscious nowadays. Year 5, we want to diversify our market, not just producing spoons and dip cups, but also knives, forks, and eco packaging. And in year 5, we also want to focus on bigger MNCs that are there in Europe. And in year 6, we want to focus more on online marketing and online retail to ship to customers. So this is an overview of the cost structure and willingness to pay. So we calculated based on our manufacturing cost that each spoon would actually cost 16 cents a piece. We want to sell it at 20 cents a piece, but we know that people's willingness to pay, according to the survey we carried out, is around 30 cents a piece. So to give you an idea of the competitive landscape, we have indirect competition with plastic cutlery, wooden cutlery, and compostable cutlery. Direct competition we have with some Europe-based edible cutlery manufacturers, but most of them usually use conventional grains like wheat and rice. We want to change that. We want to focus on spent grains and not put pressure on an existing, already intensified agriculture market. We expect to grow at a rate of 11.5% per year, because that's the expected and observed CAGR for this market, for the edible cutlery segment. This is our current team. We have students from ecology, food tech, and students with sustainability background. And this is the future team. We require a team for R&D and labor, supply management, and development of business. What we ask from the investors is an investment on R&D, because we really want to focus on prototyping, investment on equipment and renting out a space, and investment on developing a team. So we ask for 30,000 euros with a 30% equity. Thank you. And we'll be open to questions.
All right, thank you guys. And you were within time as well, so well done. There was a lot of information at the end, though, so I can imagine that the judge members might have some questions for you right about now. So, Raf, you may start.
Yeah, a very, very nice story. A number of questions. So first of all, what are the additives you have to add to get from the raw material to a spoon, let's say, that you can use?
You are muted.
Hello? Yeah. Hello. Yes. So the thing is, you have to mute yourself. Yeah. Hello. Yes. So I wanted to say that yes, we definitely need some additives to put into the product, into the recipe, which would definitely be wheat flour at the moment, along with the spent grains, which would be comprising of a significant portion in order to add the bulk. And I mean, that is the target that we use as the for making the recipe. Also, we want to market our flavor, our product, that especially the spoons, in two basic flavors, the sweet and the savory ones, varying according to the food that they go along with. So for that, we might have to add a little flavors to it. Also, for the binding properties, we thought of adding starch or xanthan gum, which fall under organic category, if we add them in minor quantities. So it's not much of a thing to worry about. But yes, definitely we need some more work on the R&D to fix the recipe actually to a final position. As you saw, that we tried to develop a prototype, but the thing was that we did it with the help of kitchen appliances. So we could not get the finer grinding of the flour, due to which the structure was pretty gritty in the first prototype. But of course, if we get industrial grade equipments, we would definitely be able to do better.
Mm-hmm. And then a second question I had with respect to so your raw material is spent grain coming from breweries, let's say.
Yes.
Then you will have to compete also against the livestock feed? Because currently spent grain is used as an excellent source for livestock feed. So how will you compete, in fact, with these companies?
Indeed, definitely, that is a very good question. But what we think is we wanted to develop a partnership with the breweries for that very reason. And we want them to rent them our own premises to set up our own small scale project, because we just need a handful of equipments which can fit into a small hall at the beginning. And the transportation and the logistic cost would be reduced to a very large extent. And also, since we are partnering, I think the breweries are gonna collaborate well. I mean, but yeah, definitely that was something that we didn't think about, but I think we make a good deal by partnering with the breweries and working out in their own premises if it is possible.
Also talking about the livestock feed and the competing, most of the spent grain we found out very little actually goes to the livestock feed, and a majority of spent grains are simply discarded because breweries have no use for that. So we are hoping to change that. Instead of a small amount just going to the livestock feed as fodder, we want to basically use the 80% which is simply discarded in the market, and that's how we'll be competing with the livestock feed.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, guys. Paul?
Well, thanks, team. If you want to use a byproduct of a brewery, Belgium is not the worst place in the world, of course, taking into account the number of breweries. One of my questions has already been asked in the meantime. To elaborate a little bit on that, have you already any idea as to the material properties of your product? I mean, how will it behave if it comes into contact with liquids? Is it firm enough? How does it behave if it comes into contact with a heated environment? Any idea?
Okay, yes, I would like to answer that question. Thank you, first of all, for putting up that question. Yes, we actually did a research. So the conventional edible cutlery that is actually present in the market at the moment, using wheat flour, of course, that survives in a hot liquid for around 10 minutes. And like otherwise, if you're going for any regular food stuff, like if you want to eat a salad or some regular food with it, it can survive up to 40 minutes in the food, which I think is a pretty decent time to finish up a meal. When I want to talk about the shelf life of the product, the moisture content is very less, maybe 1.5 to 1.8%, which means that the shelf life of the product can be like between 1 to 1.5 years if you keep it aside and don't use it. Keep it in of course in an atmosphere where it does not come in contact with the moisture. So, and about the texture, I cannot really guarantee it at the moment, but it is going to taste something like a cracker with a bit more hardness to it. But at the same time, it's going to be chewable because it has to be edible. And of course, it would have enough strength to actually hold the food, pick the food, and take it to the mouth.
So, if I understand it, this cutlery can be adapted to how long you want your guests to stay on the table.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's a great way to tell people without telling them that they have 40 minutes and then they have to go. So thank you for that. Françoise?
Yes, fantastic idea. And one of the things that you could do with it as well, because you're looking for partnerships with breweries, which is a real good idea, especially since it's then close by. I don't know how much equipment you need, but I guess in a brewery, they can give you a small room. You could also help, because there is help the breweries to bring their image up and their reputation up, in the sense that as we will have to consume less meat, as we heard with the first, then at a certain moment in time, maybe there is not so much market anymore for that waste. But you could also bring, it was an interesting idea to bring those flavors to it. And as you have a combination sometimes between cheese and beer, or between tea, and there are some cheese makers that even connect with tea, not only with beer but also with tea. You could connect it also, those flavors, with a specific flavor from that specific brewery, and maybe also have some merchandising printed on the spoons or whatever. And it could be used as well, if you look at how much waste we have. Belgium is known for Tomorrowland and whatever, and it could be a good thing to also go and see those people, because they have a waste mountain after such an event. So great ideas.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hendrik, did you have a question?
No, really. I liked it a lot. Congratulations, guys. I was just going to suggest some marketing power in your team, but Françoise is an obvious candidate now after all that extensive and solid advice. Really cool. Well done. I like the marketing twist. That was also something that came into my mind. I mean, give the brewers a story to tell, and they will be. I mean, they will give you the 30,000 for free. You know. I mean.
I really hope they do.
Yeah.
Give away things for cheap, huh, guys?
Yeah.
30,000 for 30%.
Well, our primary consumers are actually eco-conscious population right now, including the companies that are working with green initiatives and who are working in the who have sustainability really close to their mission and vision as well. So we're trying to target them in the future as well.
Also related to the events, that was one of our main focus. We want to target these huge events like Tomorrowland, for example, or many conferences that keep happening in and around Leuven, and we wanted to make sure that our edible cutlery reached there. So that's definitely really good marketing advice that we'll take. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you to the judges for that feedback as well. Well done, guys. You can breathe again. So you have done your part. And I think that we are finally on to the last one. To me, it feels like we only started 5 minutes ago, but that's perhaps because I'm in this really badly. So Sensual, you guys can simply share the screen and start your presentation. Good luck.
Okay, thank you. So today we introduced you our wearable solution to improve mental health well-being. 792 million people worldwide suffer from a psychiatric illness. This is 1/10 of the entire world population. And roughly half of the patients have no access to professional treatment. Jane Doe is one of them. Jane suffered from her first major depression at the age of 20 years old, and her depression was diagnosed and treated by her GP at the time. She recovered after a few weeks. But however, four years later, she presented at the emergency department of the hospital in a manic state. So Dr. Freud admits her to the crisis department of the hospital to improve her diagnosis and treatment. And he starts further exploring how she has been since her first major depression. And to do so, he can only rely on the patients and the patient's family story. And from these interviews, it is clear that the diagnosis of a major depressive disorder is not the right diagnosis. Jane is suffering from a bipolar disorder instead. Unfortunately, in today's psychiatry, Dr. Freud is still limited to quite the same tools as he was 100 years ago. He was limited to the story of the patient and only when he met the patient. There's a very limited amount of information, which led to a misdiagnosis of the disorder, an inefficient treatment, but also a late-stage recognition of the manic episode with severe risks due to the impulsive behavior. And Jane Doe is not alone. All of the people on this slide suffered from a bipolar disorder. And for some of them, a wrong diagnosis, an inefficient treatment, and an inefficient follow-up as well had serious consequences. The patients on this slide died or tried to commit suicide. Today, we live in the 21st century in which technology offers so much more possibilities to prevent rather than to cure. And for me, as a psychiatrist in training and a biomedical engineer, it's quite frustrating that this modern technology has not yet found its way in the direct treatment of patients yet. And therefore, Jona will now further elaborate on our wearable solution.
I don't know if anyone is still on mute. Don't forget.
Sorry, some technical problems with two screens. So, like Hannes told, next time we want to improve wearable psychiatric disorders with wearable solutions. Next time Jane goes to the doctor, she gets two items back home. The first is a patient application, and the second is a wearable sensor shirt. The patient application is an interactive tool that probes the questions to the patient multiple times a day about his mental state, and the patient can answer this via means of a simple score. This results in a timeline of how the patient was feeling over a long time, which can then be used in a diagnosis or a treatment of the patient. Second, we have a wearable sensor shirt. This is a t-shirt with integrated electrodes that can measure certain vital signs like heartbeats. And from this data of the shirt, we can extract certain symptoms like insomnia or stress levels that occur in patients with mental disorders. This results in a report for the doctor, and next time the patient goes on a consultation, she has this report with her so that the doctor can see what happened in between consultation sessions. Well, what is the added value of this product over what exists today in the psychiatry? First of all, it's an evidence-based approach to psychiatry, much more than it is today. Also, because we have objective data, the doctor can actually measure the effect of treatment and, if necessary, steer the treatment in a better direction so that the treatment progresses better. For the patient, he or she gets much more insight in his disorder and is also much more actively involved in the treatment process. Overall, this increases the doctor-patient relationship. Well, there are a lot of mental health care apps out there, a lot of wearable devices. So what sets out a good solution for the psychiatry? Well, we identified 5 points on which these apps score, on wearable score. And now let's look at our competitors, how they score on this. First of all, you have the Fitbits and Apple Watches, which are commercial devices, not really meant for mental health. Second, you have mental health care apps like the Monsenso app, but they don't have the objective data from biomarkers like the heartbeats, like we explained. So this is also not super useful yet. Then we have medical companies like Medtronic and Biteflies. They make wearables for medical grade purpose, but they don't have patient inputs and are not meant for mental health. Then you have our direct competitors like Illumivu and Biorix. However, they don't use the type of unobtrusive wearable like our sensor shirt. So you can see only our solution checks all criteria. Now, to introduce such an ambitious product to the market, we need also an ambitious team. So let me introduce our team. We have Sander, which is the hardware lead and responsible for the sensor shirt development. Then we have Hannes, who does a PhD in wearables in psychiatry. We have Robin, who is also a psychiatrist. Then we have Laurens, who works in a startup and is also a software engineer. And then there is me, I'm Jona. I'm a PhD student in chip design, and I'm the team leader of the project. Well, how will we, with this team, bring the products to the market? Well, we foresee 3 periods. We have the short-term periods in which we will develop the product, establish a relationship with electronic components manufacturers, but also research groups like hospitals or psychological research group to get the R&D side of our project, which is really there, going. And of course, also talk with our potential end users, which are patients and doctors. Then after 2 years, we will launch the product. But since medical products are needed to be regulated, and this is a costly process, we will first launch the products with researchers and athletes. These are people that need high quality data capture, like our sensor shirt, but who do not need the medical grade qualification. With this group, we'll try the product out first. So it's an initial customer group. And afterwards, they, with their feedback, we will start a clinical trial. And in the end period, the long-term period, we will finish this clinical trial and get medical certified, such that our end product is available both for hospitals and psychiatric practices, as well as commercially available for athletes and researchers. So what do we aim with our company? Well, we do not aim to get rid of all mental disorders in the world. This is not a realistic goal and is also not doable with just our product. However, what we aim for is for patients to get more insight in their disorders and be active in the treatment, for doctors to have an objective measurement tool that they can use in their practice, and to establish a better doctor-patient relationship. Would you like to help an ambitious team with the company in one of the upcoming industries of the future, or would you consider a partnership with us? Please get in touch, and we can now take some questions. Thank you.
Well done, Team Sensual. I know you guys were worried that you wouldn't have enough time, but you are perfectly within time. So well done on your pitch. Don't worry about that one. Some questions, maybe I see Raf.
Yeah, very nice pitch, Joanna and Hannes. Inspiring story. I like the story, especially because you try to look for objective parameters, especially then targeting mental health, but sometimes it's a bit more subjective. So that's, I think, the nice part of the story. What I was puzzled was the fact that in order to capture the body data, call it, you're developing this shirt, this wearable shirt. Why not use a standard device like a smartwatch, whatever, to capture and track the data, and then you do all the software work? But why not use a standard device that is already validated? Why develop a new device on your own?
This is a very good question. There exist indeed already many, well, say good items, like maybe a smartwatch, but we feel that in terms of medical grade data, like for example, if you want to measure heart rate variability, it's very difficult to do this accurately with just a bracelet or just a smartphone app or a watch. And if you besides this need to put on a patch and so on, it gets really difficult for the patient to adapt this. So we have seen in adoption of, say, e-health solutions, it needs to be very unobtrusive, and a shirt gives you sort of a very good way of measuring complex data, because you can place electrodes all over the body in the shirt. So it's high data capturing for medical grade purposes, while also being as obtrusive as these apps, as these gadgets that you already have. So this is why we think that we need these sensor shirts.
So this means in practice that you have to have several sensor shirts, because I presume that you will change your shirt once and every day.
Well, yes, the idea would be that it's washable. So we have thought a lot about the technical consequences, and washability is certainly one of it. And then it could be like your t-shirts, like you have maybe 2 t-shirts, and then when the one is, you have sported with it or it's sweaty after 3 days, you put it in the washer, and then you need the second one. But of course, with nowadays electronics, the aim is of course also to make a product which makes sense. This product will not cost 3,000 euros, but will be an affordable product.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe to add to that we know from literature and from studies, so evidence-based medicine, we know that, for example, heart rate variability is a very sensitive biomarker in psychiatry, and definitely to predict the manic or the hypomanic phase. Just to add to that.
Thanks.
All right, then perhaps we can go to Françoise.
Yes, well, definitely a nice idea, and I think indeed the washability is incredibly important as well. But what are the biomarkers that you want to do? Heart rate, and what else?
well, there is heart rate, there is galvanic skin response, which is basically this, well, the resistance of your skin, which is indicative of stress. Temperature, for example, because sweating a lot. There can be an IMU like a gyroscope because, yeah, restlessness, and that can say something about sleep quality. Possible, yeah, EMG in the back to monitor back pain. So you see, there is a lot of, that's also the problem, because for a cardiologist, it's very clear the ECG is the go-to biomarker. But for psychiatry, because these symptoms manifest themselves very differently for different patients, you also need to cover much more, a wider, say, measurement range. And I think the psychiatrist, Hannes and Robin in our team, can also underlie that.
I think that will be quite quite a difficult thing to make it sustainable and reliable, because electronics don't work well with water, I must say. And the other thing is, I do believe that you need gender balance in your team, because I'm sure that wearing a t-shirt for ladies won't work. So you definitely need somebody to balance that ID. If you want a very tiny temperature sensor, but I don't know if it is washable, then you can look on the website of Melexis, 90632. Is the smallest medical grade temperature sensor that you can find on the market. So if you want to do some trials, then you can have a look there.
For sure. And I think one of the steps in the project that we would certainly take is, one of the other thing is that, of course, the shirt will depend on the body size of persons, because for electrodes to make contact with your, say, chest, this needs to be very tight, which also means that you have to adapt the shirt to the body type of persons. So the first thing, I think, once that we have an established prototype for that works, is of course to team up with somebody with knowledge on textiles. So this can be, I don't know if it's a fashion designer or sports brands or sports clothes brands that we will aim with, but this certainly is something that we will work with. And of course, the idea is first make the prototype work, and then of course make the adaptability for everyone work. So then of course a sleeveless shirt or something like like they call in Dutch a Marcelleke would already be maybe something much more discreet, which you can wear under a dress or something.
Yeah, maybe it's too big, and maybe you should really think of just a wristband instead of in textile, but a wristband is also smaller. So I'm not sure about the shirt, honestly speaking, if that's going to work. And then another question you mentioned on one of your competitors, or the competitive landscape, you have Biorix there. And why do you think they are a competitor? Oops, you're muted, Jona.
The mute button is not my friend today, apparently. So so indeed, I think Biorix, what they do is also measure, say, the like, for example, in Formula 1 pilots, if they're experiencing stress and so on. So I think this is why we put them up as a competitor. But I think the most closest competitor we have is Illumivu, which is also basically an app integrating it with a wearable shirt. But these are, I think, the closest competitors that we think are out there. Because indeed, in the psychiatry, there is a lot of apps, but not a lot of companies integrating apps and wearables together.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Françoise. Then I think Hendrik wanted to ask a question as well.
Yeah, not a question, just some thoughts, guys. I think it's a wonderful problem you're addressing, and it's very much blue ocean in the sense that it's an area where we don't know a lot. So I love the approach. I like the problem framing. I also like the fact you want to go through psychiatrists and all that stuff, not going direct to consumer. There's some sense to it, but as the other jury members seem to be, I'm really stuck on this own wearable thing. I think as a small company, focus. And I think at the end of the day, what you guys will need to prove is that if we give you a bunch of biomarker data and we give you a bunch of consumer patient created data with the survey, then you guys will need to be able to prove that you can actually see patterns there and see impact there. That's what you need to prove, right? That's the solution. Why not invest all your time and effort on doing that rather than building an own wearable device, which will go in low volumes, so low volumes of data to validate your algorithm. So I don't see that happening. Plus, it could be stigmatizing if you have an own wearable and it goes around what it's for. People might not be too enthusiastic and prefer the regular Apple Watch or Fitbit to do the work. So for me, it's fantastic idea. It seems there's a lot there, but I'm looking for a bit for more focus for a small team.
Yes. So and I think Hannes, we can both address this. So I think the shirt is already underneath clothing, so I don't think it's a visible item out there. And if necessary, we could also make it as, say, seamlessly integrated in daily clothing, that it's not something that you notice that it's a wearable for psychiatric monitoring. Second, I think we have with Hannes, who does a PhD in the more analysis sides of things, and me with a PhD in the more hardware side. I do think we have a team that is rooted in the academic world, both for, say, the getting this data analysis going, as for the wearable side, make say a competitive novel wearable. So I think we do have the connections there. And we also, in the first, and it's what we mentioned for the short-term period, we aim to go for research projects together with hospitals, together with people that do these data analysis for research. So this would indeed be, for example, via VLIO or FAO research. So we would invest heavily in this R&D, but in cooperation with the academic world.
Yeah, and there too, about the stigmatizing effect which you mentioned, I think that it's important to look at it like we want to incorporate the sensors in the normal clothing. So the fact that the Apple Watch and the other smartwatches are a big success is because they replaced something which we already had. So here we also want to continue on this and incorporate what we want to measure, not in a separate device, but just incorporate it in the human clothing as you normally wear, because in this way you will not know, you will not think about it, and you will not be more stressed about wearing the wearable which is measuring you. So we want to do it less invasively, we want to do it less obtrusively, we want to definitely also do it continuously in the home environment.
Yeah, but as an investor, guys, I would expect you to say, look, I mean, prove to me that you can do it based on survey data and extracting data from existing wearables. Prove that you can do something, or at least come close to a sufficient conclusion or diagnostic recommendation. And the second thing you need to prove then is that you can make it so much better, your recommendations, by extracting even finer and more granular data, for which you need to build your own wearable. But it seems like you're shooting for the Mount Everest and sort of missing some steps in between. And I'm afraid if you go with this type of story to an investor, he will say, okay, but show me the basics first and prove to me you need that fantastic own produced wearable that apparently only you guys can produce, and not like the billions of money that are currently invested in making great wearables for the future.
Thank you for that feedback, Hendrik. I'm sure that the team's very grateful for it. Then I think we have Paul. You had some questions?
Yeah, one comment, which is a little bit in the line of what has already been said. Healthcare or quite some segments of healthcare are very, very price sensitive. An important question is who's going to pay for it? And especially in mental health, this is a very important issue because you are faced with a lot of patients there that, you know, if the healthcare system doesn't pay it, if the hospital doesn't pay it, they don't have the means to pay it either. So I think you underestimate probably a little bit what a huge effort it is to track, measure in a good way the biomarkers that you have put forward and make conclusions out of it. So in combination with that, also go for a completely new material might be a bit of a stretch, to be honest. And not only price-wise, because again, you will need to look for options that will, you know, that are as cheap as possible, but also from a regulatory point of view, all the certifications that you will be needing to be able to function in healthcare, combining new algorithms and new material also from that level is challenging. And of course, from a technical point also. So at least I think if it is your dream, your big dream to go for both of them, at least you should take a stepwise approach and not tackle these issues at once, because that's a little bit, I like ambition, but probably this is a little bit too ambitious, I'm afraid.
Well, to elaborate a bit on that, while it seems that the algorithms and the textile that we try to make are novel, there is quite a lot of research on, for example, because what we aim is not for the clearest or tool or wearable is not going to diagnose patients. These are patients that are already diagnosed with bipolar disorder, for example, and then we measure things like insomnia, stress levels. These are established, say, biomarkers that we know how to measure. And e-textiles, there is also a lot of research on that. There is even a company just selling textiles. But what we do is combining this in the psychiatry. And that, I think, is a novelty. So the individual components that we are selling might seem novel and are certainly not used in the psychiatry today or in maybe a lot of medicines field yet, but they can be done technically. So technically, I think we are not pushing the boundaries of technology here. We are putting together different pieces of technology that already exist and putting it in the field. And you can ask, for example, Hannes or Robin, the report that we would provide with this would be that I think would be the biggest added value to psychiatry.
Yeah, and maybe to elaborate on the cost, I know that healthcare tech can be quite expensive sometimes, but our aim, of course, is to prevent relapses of hypomanic and manic phases and depression. So to be preventive, to elaborate on preventive medicine, and thereby reducing the cost and reducing the number of admissions to the hospital. So I think that at the end, it will be a good argument to reimburse a shirt to prevent the cost which is caused by the admissions in the hospital and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I get that argument, but don't forget that every single improvement in healthcare actually uses the same argument, that to some extent the final healthcare cost will be reduced, but you have to pay upfront something, and that in general is a very, very unbearable cost for our healthcare system. So more and more you can see that from the patients is expected that they pay at least partly for it. And then again, the mental health care segment, the patient population in a lot of cases is not very affluent. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Paul, for these last comments, and thank you to the Sensual team for their elaboration and some of the answers that they were given. Before we go into the jury deliberation, I will be putting the jury in a separate judge lounge, let's say, in a breakout room, where they can discuss who will be the winner of the prestigious KIC Impact Award this year. There's 2 other awards. There's obviously also the KIC Student Award, which is the award for the best all-student team, because for those who are viewing at home, we have teams with that are completely made out of students, but we also have teams that are a mix between researchers and students, and we have this general mix. And so we have also a prize for the best all-student team. Now, before I do that, afterwards you will get to see an image here, because the voting will start. And this is where you, the people at home, come in. You guys will be doing the voting, the public voting, to determine the audience award. And you will see all the information here shortly. I will leave the main call in the good hands of my colleagues Marit and Karen. So if you have any questions, you can ask them, because I will be joining the judges. Also, I wanted to tell the Sensual team there were some interesting questions on the YouTube channel of the live stream. So do take a look at them and try to answer them, so that people who are watching get their answers as well. Unfortunately, we are already over time. I totally jinxed it by saying that we were running on time, obviously. But so take a look at those questions, try to answer them. And then I will now be putting all the judges in the judges lounge. I envision us probably coming out in between 15 minutes and half an hour, viewing that we also want to give the judges a little bit of a break before we move on to the finals. So yes, I would say good luck and start voting. All right, and I think that the jury members should have come back. We have done with the deliberation, the judges have chosen a winner. So perhaps let's start perhaps with some general comments for all the teams here involved tonight, for all the people watching, for all those people who think about entrepreneurship in the future. We have some comments from Hendrik.
Okay. Hey, yeah, thank you, Gael. Hey, everybody, just 2 minutes on some general things that we discussed in sort of the jury breakout we just had. First of all, thumbs up to everybody. Like, we were all unanimously extremely impressed, and I guess this might be a standard thing to say at a moment like this, but we're really serious, right? It was really, really of high quality. What you guys and girls delivered in 6 weeks, all of you, is very impressive. And take this from people that see pitches all the time, right? On average, I mean, I see like 3-4 pitches a day, okay? And my colleagues in the jury see a lot of them as well, and really impressive, okay? So even if you're not among the ones walking home with an award or a prize, it was, trust me, it was really good, all 6 of you. The second thing is, it struck us it made me really happy and optimistic to see that there are young people with thinking about real and innovative solutions for some really concerning issues that people who are not so technical and smart as you guys, i.e. me, reading the newspaper every day, tend to get worried about. But this really makes me upbeat about what we can do. So thank you for that. I learned a lot, and and it made me look quite positive at the future. And then there are 2 things, just points of feedback, which also I think as a jury we found that sort of in general can apply to what we heard. The first thing, it's normal. We're most of us are Belgians, and of course you're students and you're young, but please, with your skills and talent, please conquer the world, okay? I mean, with the solutions we've seen and the big ideas we've heard, if you believe in those ideas and you have convinced many in the jury that they should be believed in, if you believe in your ideas, you should think beyond gathering a couple of €100,000 seed capital over a period of 10 years' time. You should really think big, right? So that is something, a little push I would really want to give you. And big, sorry, in the world of impact, big can be beautiful. If you have these solutions to make our planet a better place, then please have the ambition to roll it out globally. And one last point, also from personal experience from many of us in the jury, we all know that Italians like to drink coffee with Italians, but the better teams are typically Italians drinking coffee with a German and an American. Okay, so it's very normal that you seek your startup buddies in the aula or the virtual aula you're sitting in right now, but we would encourage you to sort of look across the fence, and we had sometimes the feeling that many of you are great inventors, great ideas, bright, very bright stuff, and you could probably use a less smart economics guy who is the real sales tiger with the entrepreneurial look on things, who can do the market analyses and the go-to markets and all kind of stuff. And we know you all want to talk geek stuff 24 hours a day, but these people can also form a real complement to you. So if you think about teams, don't necessarily look for people that look exactly like you. So, but that's sort of a nice motion to say, hey guys, look for some extra friends, which is which is nice in any case, right? Okay, voila. So that was a bit the general comments, Gael, and then we are now up to, is it Françoise yet or somebody else?
Well, we're first going to do the audience award because I can imagine that all of you are very much, we very much want to see how many votes you have gotten from the audience. So I will be sharing my screen with you. Yes. So you should be able to see my screen. Please nod if yes, thank you. So, and then I would like to ask everyone, please, this is also a moment that that is so important for us and that we so much like to see as well. Please put on your webcams so we can kind of see the looks on your faces. And just in any case, just be happy for each other. You guys are great. And so now I'm going to reveal, I'm stretching it, aren't I? Stress is mounting, which is good. We have 1,004 votes that are in. I have now closed the voting, so it's done. And so here we go. Winner of the Kick Audience Award for 2021 is Elsa Guzman. Congratulations. Put up your mics, guys. Give a warm applause.
Congrats.
Bravo.
There you go. There you go. So now, as is common, usually we would have a stage where you could come up to the stage and you could cry and get an award. But so we would like to have some words from you, perhaps. I'm going to stop sharing so we can see you. Tell us, Wannes, how do you feel?
I feel amazing. It's a great honor that the audience has chosen me to be the winner. Also, the people around me really, they outreach to everyone they knew to help voting. So it's a great honor. Thank you.
Very well done. Any of the judges who want to say something to Wannes?
Well, what struck us most was your passion, your enthusiasm, but also your innovative ideas to couple, in fact, different models with each other. Yeah, the social aspect, the recycling, the upcycling rather. And the way you look at it, this really was impressive as well to us as a jury.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And so Wannes, I have heard, like a little birdie told me that before this pitch you were quite nervous and you drank a duvel, to get the flow going. Now you can drink one. As a congratulations to celebrate.
So I will do it now, probably. Yeah.
Thank you. So congratulations on that one, and thank you on everyone at home voting tonight. 1,000 votes is not a small thing and a small feat. So thank you very much for that one. Then I think we can go on to the All Student Award, because we also have an award since we have so many people joining here. And there's many researchers or mixed teams. And so we wanted to also give that push to an all-student team who perhaps not necessarily have already done a lot of work, but who have an idea and who made it. And we kind of wanted to make sure that there's this push as well. So Françoise, I will give the word to you. I will leave it to you how long you will leave the tension in there for the teams to find out. But so take the floor.
Okay, I cannot do what you did and stretch it. I don't have that. I don't have that talent apparently. But who is the winner here? And the winner is Ecoware. Yay! Congratulations. Woo! And why are you the winner? So we as a jury, we were really amazed and we had a lot of sympathy for the fact that 3 Indian students really got what I would say the Belgian taste, and that beer somehow inspired you for this great idea. So it doesn't get more Belgian than this, I would say. So great work. Now, next to that, what we also felt is you have been thinking a lot about the practicalities. So on how would I use it? What would be attractive? The taste, the flavors you wanted to bring in. You thought about textures, for example. You thought about the shelf life, about how long, and you made some experiments, I guess. How long will a spoon of this kind last when you eat or when you put it in a liquid? So all these practicalities, so that was well thought through. And moreover, you also had an ambitious plan. So you really saw it big. And as Hendrik mentioned in the beginning, that's also what you want to see as a jury or as an investor for that matter. Now, some of the things that you can definitely take with you, let's say, as an idea. We have this Green Deal in Europe. There is this taxonomy that comes on board, all these ESG requirements that public companies need to comply with. And it's going to put pressure on these companies to find ways how to use the waste, for example, the breweries like you do, how to invest in that, because they need to bring that compliance to real life. So that is definitely an opportunity for your idea. And then there was, and we talked about it already after the presentation in the Q&A session, is what you really now have to focus on is get some branding, get some marketing ideas. Hendrik mentioned it. You need to put several perspectives together in order to really make a good company. And the idea of pulling in partners, partnering with the breweries on the one hand, but you could also partner with others. Yeah, not only with retailers, but the event sector, for example, could be a good way to do it as well. So marketing, branding, go-to-market strategies, that is still something that you could elaborate more on. But otherwise, congratulations, well done, a fantastic story.
Thank you so much for your feedback. Thank you so much for your feedback. That's really valuable.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you, Françoise, for this, and congratulations, Team Ecoware, for this one.
Thank you.
Then I think we can go on to the next and probably final part of the evening. We will have Paul van Dun, the General Director, of the Research and Development Department at the KU Leuven, in his capacity here for the Gamma Frisius Fund that I told you about, which is also the sponsor of the cash prizes, who will announce the overall KIC Impact Award winner for this year. Paul, over to you.
Thanks, Gael. Well, as already has been mentioned, for all the members of the jury, this is not their first jury. And we all know that after the deliberation of the jury, you're supposed to say how difficult it was, etc., etc. But I can absolutely confirm what Hendrik already mentioned. At the minute we were in the breakout room to have our discussion, truly, really, the first comments of all of us was, what a great teams, what a great project. We were really impressed by the pitches, knowing that quite some of you only had 6 weeks to pull this together. Impressive, really impressive. Also knowing that this was the first time that this KIC event focused on impact and sustainability. what a harvest. I mean, those people who claim and say that there is not a lot of ideas, that there is not a lot of possibilities in making the world better, well, they are wrong. Yeah, and the proof is here amongst us today. So really, really, I can echo what Hendrik says, already said. It makes me happy. Congratulations, everyone. But, and this is a cliche, of course, there can only be one winner. We have chosen a project and a team that, in our view, had a truly innovative idea, tackling a real-life problem, of which we think that if realized, it can have a significant ecological impact. And if some of the technical and other issues are to be solved, it really has the potential for a broad rollout. Against this background, also here I can echo what has already been said, dare to dream. If you really believe in your project, and this also goes for the winner, if you really believe in your project, don't hesitate to go for the funding that is needed to conquer the world. Do it in a realistic way, but do it in an ambitious way. If you really have a good project, the investors will not be scared off to put some additional money on the table to really realize it. So taking into account all these considerations, we have reached a unanimous verdict, and the winner is, drums, drums, drums. Let me see, Agrileshi. Congratulations. In the real world, I would be able to hand over a check right now, but we will also need to do that in a virtual way, Gail.
Yes, exactly. So first off, I want to say congratulations, guys, on winning the Kick Impact Award 2021. I'm not sure if any of you want to kind of share their feelings right now. I think they might be a little bit overwhelmed.
Yeah, I have to send out the voting team who was celebrating here. We did not expect this at all. As we already said, this was something we came up with 6 weeks ago, which we changed throughout these 6 weeks, like a couple of times drastically. And it was such a ride, and it's an honor to achieve this award. We can't believe it.
Yes, we can believe it.
And to assure you, it will be a virtual check, but it will be real money, can assure you.
Yes, thank you. So
Thank you
you guys,
so
yes, normally you can come up to a stage and you can kind of thank your mom and dad and your coaches and you know, perhaps your girlfriend, for this, but I guess if you want to, we're still streaming live, so perhaps you want to say something to the people at home who are watching.
I think we want to thank everyone that support us, and also our graphic designer Louisa, but also Maarten. We want to thank both, and our coaches, of course, because of their feedback, we actually reached this point, because we never were able to reach this without our coaches as well.
And to pick in on that, we would like to thank any feedback that was also given tonight. You can only move forward when you get feedback and not when everyone is nodding yes. So this is a great opportunity. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you guys. And I think that with this, we can kind of conclude this year's Kick Challenge. It has been a wild ride for everyone. And especially me as well. I mean, I've enjoyed working with you guys. I'm sure you did not enjoy the amount of spam you got from me, which I'm very sorry for. But it's been great to work with all of you. And once again, I also kind of want to thank like the Gemma Frisius Fund. I know this feels like it's kind of studied in and that I have to do this, but I really don't. I really do it because all of the people that we've worked with, like Gemma Frisius Funds for sponsoring, the Industrial Research Fund for making sure that this challenge was known in all the research groups. We have the spin-off group with the coaches. We have Academics for Development, who are students themselves who do projects abroad, who really gave a great workshop on how to achieve impact with your business. I want to thank Marit for doing a great presentation as well on the BMC, on getting those business plans or business cases, really step them up a notch. She and our entire kit team, Ilse for communication, Karen and Marit, they have done a marathon of calls to really give feedback to the teams before the internal jury. Tina for so majestically always being there whenever we have an event and whenever we do something. She's always there, even if it's in the evening, even if it's 5 days a week. She's there to help, to lend a helping hand. So we couldn't dream for a better coordinator. So it feels like I have to do this, but I really don't, and I just really do it. And I'm so grateful because this is why we do it, to make sure that we have all these teams that can move ahead. And even if you did not win a prize today, guys, all the teams here deserve their spot here. And so please continue. Please contact us. I mean, you know us now. Please contact us. We're here for you if you want to move forward. We're here for you with a network, with people. And if you believe in it, then I can kind of promise you that we will believe in you too. So please keep on going, even if you didn't win a prize. I see Françoise, you wanted to say something as well.
Yeah, just one more thing, because I see some faces and some disappointments here and there. Don't worry, you were great. You were all great. And there is no such thing as failure. Either you succeed or you learn. So anyway, you have all won today in that sense, because you have all been able to learn. And hey, like Gael says, go out there, take your passion and your engagement and do something with it, because the world needs you. Voila.
Thank you, Françoise. And we have Ecoware who's here, who want to say something as well.
Yeah, we would just like to thank a couple of people, because I think we missed that while we were coping with the fact that we actually won. We would like to thank our coaches as well for helping us, and for all the valuable feedback that we have got from the jury members. And lastly, we would also like to thank Cake Challenge and the award stage itself for giving us this platform to actually make it happen. So thank you guys as well.
Thank you. And then I think without further ado, we can finalize the evening. It's a bit later than planned. I did jinx it. I said that we were ahead of schedule and I shouldn't have done that. So Karen, you also
I don't want to leave the call by saying thank you, Gael, for everything, for organizing the Kick Challenge, for being a great project manager. Thank you for everything, the emails, the following up, the enthusiasm, everything. You're a great colleague. I love working with you. So
we're like such a cool team. Thank you so much, Gael. And you're like the perfect moderator for this evening.
Thank you, guys. But we cannot end with those words. So I'm going to ask
We can.
Raf, you haven't said anything yet. So Raf, I want the closing words from you, please.
No, I really enjoyed the evening. It was really great. Very enthusiastic people, inspiring stories, and authentic stories as well. Ambition, I saw a lot of ambition. And great night. Great co-jury members as well.